Click the links to join channel here over at SubStars. So this video is about these degenerates at Netflix, and Elon Musk and libs at TikTok are going after him. But this art style, God, you got AI, you got CGI, you have like basically supercomputers. You think you'd be able to improve this a little bit. So Elon Musk versus the degenerates at Netflix and the child propaganda that they're pushing. Cultural Bolshevism, social engineering by these worst people on earth, the globalist parasites. Netflix is full of child groomers, and to understand how far left the country has moved, if you had shown earlier generations some of this stuff, they wouldn't. I don't know how far back you'd have to go to shock them, but they just wouldn't believe that America was sitting back and allowing Weimar to be recreated without any redress of grievance. But this stuff does have a time limit, because in probably less than 5 years, people are going to be able to use AI is leaps and bounds every day. And they're looking at this new AI as a Sora or something. And they're pointing it out. They're making short cartoons and animations and stuff. And they're pointing out, like, this is the worst it's ever going to be. And it's starting to become, you can see where it's going. It's one day you're going to be able to do anything with it. So in a few years, normal right-wing people are going to be using AI to make nationalist cartoons where the kids hunt down communists and show them give them helicopter rides and explain gravity to communists. We're the bad guys squad, right? So we're anti-communist. So the best explanation is that they're showing this propaganda to kids and not to adults. All the BLTQP drag queen story hour type of cross-dressing pronoun stuff, the rainbow, all that propaganda is aimed at children when they are at their most susceptible, development to be brainwashed is when they're little kids. And like all this stuff is in these government schools and across the spectrum of Hollywood media. The drag queen story hour type of stuff, they're not doing the, it's not going to lick itself. They're not doing strip club shows or reading to the elderly. They're coming for the kids. None of this is organic. Otherwise, adults would be watching this type of filth. They would be demanding these kind of shows, and it doesn't sell to adults. Whenever Disney comes out with these kind of either movies or animations, they very, very famously lose a ton of money. These shows are to brainwash the next generation, and unfortunately, it's effective if the kids are exposed to it. TV and government schools are much more influential with kids than their family and tribe are, and that, if you want to save a nation, the West, that has to change. So yes, Netflix is grooming kids. This is the definition. As Sigmund Freud's nephew, Bernays, pointed out, he wrote about advertising and brainwashing. He was pretty honest about it. He seemed to kind of lack a moral center. Most of it is simply repetition of a message. And the weird thing is that people are not revolting against what these people are doing. So the degenerate creator here, Hamish Steele, the kids are not organically gay or trans at these sorts of rates. I don't know if I can say, like, I don't know exactly what I can say on YouTube. I'm not sure if I can say, like, it's not real at all. It's like, you're not the other sex. And I know they have some kind of like argument about gender and sex. It's like, it's all the same thing. They're made this way by brainwashing when they're young and susceptible to brainwashing. Like, you're most influenced by these things when you're a little kid. That's why they're showing it to them. And then he's going on Blue Sky, which is it's a distilled collection of Tumblr and the worst of Twitter, where he's claiming that any criticism of his stupid show, which I guess ran for 2 seasons, is anti-Semitism and like gay phobia or something. I'm not sure what he meant by that. I'm pretty sure he's just mentally ill and trying to like throw up any kind of shields he can. So this is the same guy who was happy, as this article mentions, about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, though it's odd that this article doesn't show that Blue Sky post. They're just going to skip right over that, where he was calling Charlie Kirk a Nazi for some reason, which kind of in a way is good, because I think people are starting to understand that they've been crying wolf Is that the phrase? Crying wolf for so long that it's all nonsense. Charlie Kirk was the guy who sat and peacefully had conversations with people at college campuses and whatnot, because and part of that was pointing out, like, letting the left wing show themselves to be the violent sociopaths that they are. And there's a deeper dive to be done with the idea of looking at the left wing, and you can look at so many of them. Joe Glass is kind of an example of that. To say, like, this guy kind of looks like Joe Glass. Physiognomy is real, where you can say the left is the left because a lot of them have mental illness somewhere on the spectrum of, like, borderline personalities to full out sociopathy, where they're addicted to degeneracy, and kind of what they're putting out in the world is what they're getting back. Yeah, I want to say other things. It's a collection of outgroup preference people who are against things, but the only thing that unites them is their hatred of European people or Christians or the normal healthy family. Any kind of structure or white tribalism bothers them, but all other groups having structure or in-group preferences is just fine with them for some reason. So as it turns out, a society needs structure. The proof is it's all around you right now. The past was better, the present is bad, and the future is going to either be a war that changes things fundamentally, or the West is just going to turn into South Africa, which is not a good option. So what these gremlins do is they work to destroy very effectively, because they've done it. They have destroyed what was a high trust society, and they've accomplished that in America, Canada, European cities, Australia. The left is kind of in a war on normalcy, because a lot of it is just simply looking at them and realizing that they're dysgenic, dysfunctional, degenerate people, where everything pure and beautiful they abhor. Anything that discipline and hard work creates. Instead of creating, I mean, that was, part of it was taking down statues and icons and whatnot. Instead of creating things, they want what other people have created. So they make these endless excuses for themselves and frame themselves as victims, and the hardworking people as their oppressors. And I mean, they take these statues down and they replace it with statues of Floyd, who was a junkie, woman abusing criminal. Like, that's, the left wing has very strange heroes, but, like, that's all they have. They're a collection of outcasts, and they desire revenge against their non-existent oppressors. A lot of it is they think they're in a Molly Ringwald movie. I came across Jawbreakers and saw a few minutes of it the other night. It's a really bad movie, but it's kind of a ripoff on like Heathers or the Molly Ringwald movies of the 80s. Was it like 16 Candles and, I don't know, maybe the John Cusack Better Off Dead type of vibe, where I think a lot of these left wingers think they're stuck in these kind of movies or something, like where they're the kids pick last for sports or not going to prom because they're too fat. And it's like, well, a lot of this is self-induced. They eat too much and they play video games, but then they make excuses for that as well. There was peak YouTube was like 2015, 16, where there was SJWs were just being absurd. And then there were anti-SJW channels, which YouTube later kicked off, where there was a girl who was talking about all the things that triggered her as, in a first world country. So a lot of these people, the thing is, they don't have healthy relationships, because I think they hate themselves and they don't know how to talk to the opposite sex. So they're kind of angry at beautiful people. But, like, this is their own created hell. All they have to do is mostly just eat less and get rid of the video games and the streaming apps and start walking. Instead, they're stuck at that, like, teenage emo girl in their period phase of just being angry at everything and unwilling to take the steps to make themselves less disgusting, or I should say more palatable to people, where they don't want to eat right. But instead of, like, fixing themselves, they want to change society to go, we're going to have magazines push obesity as healthy, and you've got a 300-pound woman on the cover of a fitness magazine saying, yes, this is healthy, and people look at it and go, no, it's not, you're lying, this is gaslighting. Or men in dresses, where it's just stunning and brave. It's like, it's a bearded guy in a dress, anyone can do that. That's not stunning and brave. It's just cultural Marxism. For a lot of these people, like for these guys, I think like they've kind of given up on life, and they're at least taking the outlet of sodomizing other angry kind of lost people instead of getting involved in healthy relationships and having kids and starting a family and that kind of stuff. So they're natural communists, which is kind of hysterical. I think didn't Bernie Sanders get kicked out of a commune because he didn't do enough work? And if they had a commune made up of themselves, like nobody would work. They just endlessly try to find excuses that to try to like they do this a lot where they try to out marginalize themselves to put themselves on this imaginary cultural Bolshevik ladder of oppression. So it's a collection of like obese blue haired sodomites with all these imaginary ailments to get out of actually doing anything productive because they want other people to do it. The worst thing for parasites is to be forced together, which is like communism means everything is done at the threat of gunpoint. Anyway, that's why one of the reasons they're so happy about Kirk getting assassinated is because they hated everything about him. He was a tall, normal-looking person who, did everything they hated. He went to church. He was against degeneracy. He had a beautiful master race blonde wife, a bunch of kids, and he created something. He created, whether you agree with it or not, he created a media empire, and he was just like an intelligent, nice, well-spoken person. And the left is just kind of like these people who hate that kind of thing. It's like a lot of it really is like them stuck in an 80s movie. And they're happy that he was assassinated. I remind them, everyone dies, but most people never really live. And like Charlie Kirk, in what like his career was just over a decade, he accomplished a lot that most people are never going to come close to accomplishing. And someone pointed out that the Andy Ngo mugshots he posts, you see these people and they're ugly, they're drug addicted, mentally ill, kind of lost, broken people. And it's not exactly their fault because they need structure. They need things that used to be provided a few decades ago before open borders and globalism, before that all destroyed unions. They had factory jobs, they had stability. Those would be the goals, at least, like getting a wife at 18 and having a family, and not having a currency that the globalists inflated to Weimar levels. All that stability, the left wing now claims to hate. I think they think that like they're going to destroy it and replace it with something successful, and like most likely that's just not going to happen. Anyway, there's no saving Hollywood. There's no turning this around. This is kind of, it's almost since the start of Hollywood have they been going in this direction, and there's like they don't want to turn it around. There's no pressure you can exert on them to get them to actively turn it around. The only thing you can do is not watch it and then get online and speak out against it, which is something they hate when people talk against it, which puts the left wing in the position of defending billion-dollar corporations because they think the corporations are pushing the propaganda that they agree with. And it's like, you're just left-wing useful idiots for these billion-dollar companies. And like you think they're on your side. No, that's the definition of a useful idiot. But they hate it when you get on social media and you make these. That's why they hate like Yellow Flash and The Quarter and all those YouTube people who talk about this kind of degeneracy. They go, just let the propaganda go out there. It's like, wait a minute. It's fair for people to have a little diversity of thought and speak out against this kind of globalist filth, which for 99% of human history, people would look at this kind of outgroup preference, degeneracy, mindless hedonism, and speak out against it. I don't want to say violently, but actively, very actively. And now, within a few generations, kids are so brainwashed. They think all this stuff is real because everything they got from government schools and Hollywood in its various forms is telling them it's real. And you look at them and you go like, but have you read any counter opinions to these viewpoints? And they haven't because most people just don't read these days. And they talk about banned books, and you go, yeah, the books you're talking about, the My Two Dad type of stuff, is available on Amazon. It's like the real banned books are not available on Amazon. They go, well, we wouldn't want to read those anyway. We really don't want anything challenging our concept or preconceived notions that have been like instilled in them. And I always say, like, if the right wing has free speech, we win. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys on the next episode.